You gotta go. Doesn't matter what comes. And you only judge women based upon their actions. Give women in general.
Guys, only judge a girl off of what she does, not what she says, because, you know, someone can talk the talk and not actually walk the walk. Hey, it's Christine Grace. Welcome back to my channel. Today is another reaction video. Guys, please like the video on your way in. Let's get straight into it.
Married for 10 years. I got married young. I was 21, barely, like 3 days, 21. I left the good guy. He looks at and is like, that's a dad. That's a husband. That's how it's supposed to be. He did the dishes. He cleaned the house. He took the kids to school. He worked all day. He made good money. He supported us.
Why'd you get divorced?
He's not confident enough for me.
He wasn't confident enough for you? What the does that mean? Who's your ideal man? If you could be with any man in the world, who would it be?
I haven't found him yet.
You haven't found him yet? Damn, you're so confident. You need a man on Pluto or something.
Trust me, when it gets to the point where you're like, oh, sugar, I've actually lost a good guy here, then they hit.
That's when it hits.
That's when it hits.
Let me tell y'all something, sis. Stop breaking up with your man. If you're married, stop threatening that man with a divorce. Every time he do something so small.
If he gave you a guilt-free pass to sleep with anybody in the world, would you use it?
Yeah.
On who?
This is heartbreaking. He says you just stood there like, bruh.
Zac Efron, Josh Bowman, some celebrity, hot celebrity.
You can't just pick women based on looks. You have to understand a woman's mindset. And if her mindset is modern, you got...
Based on her own words, her ex-husband was a perfect man, but she still felt like something was missing, therefore she left him. Now she is a single mother navigating the dating scene.
If he gave you a guilt-free pass to sleep with anybody in the world, would you use it?
Yeah.
On who?
Zac Efron, Josh Bowman, some celebrity, hot celebrity. You turn that down? Mm-mm. Couldn't do it.
Alright, what if it was all the way around? I know what I'm worth. One night with one celebrity doesn't change who I am. So you wouldn't use it?
Even if I gave it to you?
No. Because it sounds like a trap. If your significant other is willing to give you a one night...
You can see it in this man's face, the level of disappointment that he has in his lady's answer. But even through that silent hurt, he gives an authentic answer instead of one that he thinks will also hurt her. So it is clear that this is a good man and he 100% deserves better.
She clearly doesn't respect or value him, but he is the one who is allowing this type of situation to happen. Why is he still around someone who doesn't care about his feelings?
Honestly, he needs to leave her.
She already told him where he stands in her life, but he still believes that he can change her mind, and this is where guys get it wrong. We have to know when we should give up, and we must let it go when we have to. He knows who she is, but he thinks that with time she will change. But I want you guys to understand that when it comes to this level, it's hard to change this dynamic. I found some interesting comments of this video. Let's check them. My wife would never cheat on me. We've been together since 1989 and married for 31 years come this December. This woman just showed her true colors. Wow, what a nice genuine guy. He deserves better. Sorry, brother, but she is most definitely not a keeper, but she is a future runner. Cut her loose now and save yourself the heartache and misery because she's not worth it. Romantic love doesn't exist. Love the person you're with, but don't fall for the fairy tale. Relationship is over. You can see the heartbreak in his face. If this were me, I would walk away from her.
I wish he did. I wish he did.
Why'd you get divorced?
He's not confident enough for me.
He wasn't confident enough for you? What the does that mean? That would be like the harshest thing any woman would ever say to me. Like, I gotta break up with you, you're not confident enough. Like, I'm on my period now. Oh my God. If I asked my wife, do you think I'm confident? She'd laugh. That's what she'd do. She'd be like, no, that's why I love you, for your brokenness. I could never be with you. Yeah, I need to have my self-deprecating little strokes. You need to fuck The Rock or something like that. That's wild. So how do you meet confident men? Farmers only? How do you meet a man? You probably go to the January 6th riots, try to meet a real confident. Who's your ideal man? If you could be with any man in the world, who would it be?
I haven't found him yet.
You haven't found him yet? Damn, you're so
Doesn't even know what she's looking for.
confident. You need a man on Pluto or something.
This is the first time I have heard that a woman left her man because he wasn't confident enough. I honestly wasn't expecting it. And this is the difference between the old generation and the new one, because currently, we leave relationships like it's nothing. There is no concern of how negatively it will affect the overall family. The funny part is that she is still searching for this imaginary confident Prince Charming, but give it a few more years, reality will show her that he doesn't exist. She should be more realistic. It's really sad to see where we are as a generation and how we view relationships. We should be willing to fight more for our relationship. It would be better for everyone.
100% agree.
Women don't need a reason. They just level up when they can.
Married for 10 years. I got married young. I was 21, barely, like 3 days, 21. Already had a baby. He was 8 weeks old at our wedding. And I remember feeling like my marriage was temporary from the beginning. Like that I wasn't gonna make it. And I didn't know what that feeling was. I just thought it was.
So let me get this straight. She was married for 10 years, strung this man along for 10 years, had children with this man, and knew from the beginning that she didn't want to marry him. Marriage is forever, and it's not temporary, and age is not an excuse in my opinion. But there's more to the story, so continue.
Fighting for me, I was pushing him away. But I never truly accepted happiness. I left the good guy. He looks at and is like, that's a dad. That's a husband. That's how it's supposed to be. He did the dishes. He cleaned the house. He took the kids to school. He worked all day. He made good money. He supported us. I mean, yeah, we had our problems, but he was the good guy. So I'm here to tell you, it's okay to leave the good guy.
And she
You think she would learn her lesson, but no.
says something about finding happiness and not being happy, but she doesn't realize is that a man isn't the one that's going to make you happy. You have to make yourself happy. So she should have done a lot of self-work within the relationship, because you can be in a relationship while simultaneously working on yourself. And because she got married at 21, I'm sure she missed out on her hoe phase, and now she's going to be 31 as a single mom out having fun because she missed out on it, as if that's going to be acceptable going into her 40s. And basically she goes on to say how a guy can be a good guy but not the right guy. But here's my thought process. Okay, first of all, you knew that from the beginning and you're not upfront, or did you communicate that? You wasted 10 years of this man's life where he could have gone out and found someone who appreciated him. But additionally, now it's 10 years later. If she was 21, she's 31 now. So now she's a single mom at 31. And she's about to go on the dating scene, and she thinks that's going to be better and that there's good guys still left out there. But this is also what I talk about on this page about these women. They ruin the good guys because now this man is going to go get his heart broken and never be the same ever again, all because she knew from the beginning and couldn't be upfront about it. Like, how sick and twisted do you have to be to make a man a placeholder and have children with him? And so many women in the comments right now are like, oh, this is exactly my situation. I've been married for 11 years and he's such a good guy. And, you know, but he's not for me.
Honestly, what is wrong with our culture?
I'll need to stop listening to shitty advice on the internet like that and go into therapy and fight for your marriages and fight for the good men there.
Honestly, it's like modern day relationships seem to be formed on the belief that the other person is supposed to fix all your problems and somehow make you happy. That's not it. A lot of people don't understand that you are responsible for your problems. You're responsible for your feelings. You're responsible for controlling your emotions. It's not the other person's problem. And that's why a lot of relationships fail, I think.
That are out there, because I can promise you that the dating scene is not any better. But not only that, this man is about to get all his shit wrecked when she already knew from the beginning that he wasn't the one. In divorce, he's about to lose half, and who knows his visitation. You know how a lot of women can be with the visitation of their children, and as soon as they're pissed, they give the silent treatment. There's so many things that could happen in divorce that, she didn't consider in the first place? Just despicable. Okay, bye.
After this experience, he is probably feeling used, and it can have a huge impact, which could change his views
I feel really sorry for this guy.
of relationship. And this is another reason more and more guys are becoming smarter when it comes to dealing with their partners. I don't know why she wasn't honest from the start. It seems like he was a placeholder from the beginning, and this is not fair on him. But I am glad she did it. Now he can find someone who deserves his love. She still doesn't know what she lost. She thought that Chads and Tyrone in her DM were willing to play her husband's role, but she was so wrong. After a few years, we will have her posting another video complaining about how men ain't ish. Let's jump into the comment section. Because a lot of women want a wedding, not a marriage.
Facts.
They want a big extravagant show for their friends to see. Like a contest. I'm not happy, so I'm taking half of your stuff. This is just a long way of saying the streets were calling me. It bothers me a lot to hear stories like this, people not being honest with themselves or others, and especially taking good people for granted.
Honestly, she didn't deserve him.
One of the worst things you can do to a guy is tell him that everything he did for you for 10 years meant absolutely nothing. Sounds like what my ex-wife did. She even told me the same things. Now she keeps attacking me and interrupting my life.
Trust me, when they get to the point where you're like, oh, sugar, I've actually lost a good guy here, then that's when it hits. That's when it hits, when you're like, oh, actually, I realised I've gone from this guy, I tried this guy, they're all sort of similar, and I had that one good guy, but I left him because he didn't try it.
Let me tell y'all something, sis. Stop breaking up with your man. If you're married, stop threatening that man with a divorce. Every time he do something so small, y'all want to blow it up, be ready to throw the whole nigga away, be ready to throw your whole husband away, knowing good and goddamn well that's the best man that y'all have ever had in your whole lifetime. And then you walk around like your shit don't stink, like you don't come with flaws, like you don't have issues that flow out of your heart. And it's like, come on, man. Y'all on this independent high horse. I had everything before I met him. I had my shit together. But if you were so independent, then you take your single ass over there and you be lonely. Y'all cannot expect for men not to make mistakes, for men not to fuck up. But you talking about somebody who is the foundation of the house, who is your leader, supposed to be your leader. But y'all too busy trying to be independent.
I couldn't agree more, but we all know how they think. They will know the value of the man they had after losing him. Modern women think that there is an abundance of good single men ready to marry them, but after they leave their good men, they will discover the reality of it. Let's check some comments of this video. This lady is on point. Thank you, sis, because I consider myself to be a good man. And it's just like you say it is. Thanks for telling the truth. I'm glad someone understands how I'm feeling. Ma'am, you speak like a traditional woman.
You can't just pick women based on looks. You have to understand a woman's mindset. And if her mindset is modern...
Mindset is so important when selecting a partner these days, man or woman, because the truth is a lot of people these days have been raised by single mothers who are hurt, who are bitter, and who completely corrupt the minds of their children. So, you know, it's not just women, it's more women than men, but there is also a lot of men walking around who will never go anywhere in life. They'll never be able to achieve anything because they haven't learned how to be a man. They haven't seen it. And then obviously it's the same with women. They haven't learned how to be a wife and a mother because, well, they haven't seen it. So a lot of people are prohibited in where their life can go, and then they end up picking these terrible partners because they don't know what to select for. So they select for whatever Instagram tells them, whatever TikTok tells them. They compete with their friends, and they chase this fairy tale type of love that just simply doesn't exist. The idea that someone else can be the answer to all your problems, it doesn't exist. It's not healthy, and it's not an adult relationship. And that's how we have so many failed relationships these days.
You gotta go. Doesn't matter what comes, and you only judge women based upon their actions. Give women in general.
Guys, only judge a girl off of what she does, not what she says, because, you know, someone can talk and not actually walk the walk. So you need to see it, and vice versa, girls. You know, a guy can tell you all the things you want to hear, but ultimately you got to look at what he does. Is he a man of his word? Does he actually try, you know? And if the answer for either sex is no, well, don't waste your time.
The benefit of the doubt. And see, a lot of ladies aren't going to like what I'm about to say, but I say this. Look at a woman that even if you're dealing with, assume that she means the best. Assume her heart's in the right place. It doesn't matter. It comes down to your actions.
It depends on what stage of life you are. If you are looking for something casual, you don't have to worry about what he just said. But if you...
Yeah, to clarify, of course, none of this matters if you're just looking for something casual. But a life partner, absolutely, this stuff is so important.
You are looking for a woman to build a life with, you must carefully listen to him, because the woman you choose to be your wife will impact your life, which could be positively or negatively. Therefore, make sure you don't overlook the red flags, and make sure that you analyze them properly before taking the big step. Let's see what people are saying about this video. I'm not giving women the benefit of the doubt. I put my faith in my understanding of female nature, teamed with their actions. Too bad, it doesn't matter. Though it's a nice idea. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I thought that was some pretty good advice in that video. At the end of the day, modern relationships are a joke, and society is crumbling right before our eyes. So at least there's some people in the midst of it all willing to tell the truth and actually give helpful advice. Might not be as pretty as you were hoping for, but it is the truth, and the truth is always better.
What were some of the things you were told about men while growing up?
Don't trust them. Yeah, I agree with that one.
What is the most surprising thing you've learned about men from your experiences?
You can't trust them. Facts.
Do you prefer a man who is a gentleman or a bad boy?
Bad boy. Bad boy.
It's almost as if the two answers there correlate. It's almost as if picking bad boys is going to lead to you not trusting men. Funny that.
Is it fair to say women lust after bad boys but want to settle down with nice guys?
Yeah.
If you happen to be looking for a quality man, where would you expect to find one?
Quality man? Church. Yes.
When was the last time you went to church?
That's so good. That's so funny. These women are not living inside reality. They're living inside a story that they were told when they were young that says that men cannot be trusted. And they wholeheartedly believe this story to be true, which is why it's so...
It's actually kind of devastating because it's like you've obviously had no positive male influence in your life to be able to say that like all men can be grouped into this group of don't trust them, like men are bad.
Funny when his Socratic questioning starts pointing to reality. Do you know where the quality men are? Yes, so why don't you go there? You think men can't be trusted, but then why do you go for the bad boys instead of the gentlemen? The women laugh because their bubble burst. The ridiculousness of their story was exposed when reality asserted itself. I'm going to share a depressing truth that you may or may not have figured out yet, which is that very few people live inside reality. And in this video, I'm going to explain the 4 things that block women from seeing reality. These are stories, emotions, ideologies, and faith. Let's start with stories. Imagine you see your life not as descriptions in a scientific textbook, but instead an epic narrative, a tale of heroism. You are the main character of this story, and you have your own unique suffering. You achieve, you struggle. It's like you're playing out...
So many people live life like this. There was a couple of videos I reacted to recently where women use that phrase, what is it? Main character energy.
out some incredible drama. You're living in a story. If that's the way that you see your life, that's going to color your perception of existence. That's going to block you from actually seeing reality. Your awareness is going to be limited to those facts that support your story. You're only going to assign significance to that data that you come across that strengthens your perception of this story. So what kind of a story am I talking about? Well, let's choose a very popular one that women are telling themselves these days, which is that they are victims. When a woman has a victim narrative, she believes that everything is against her and everyone is discriminating against her. And because that's the narrative she's living in, she recreates that story in all kinds of different situations. As she lives her life, she doesn't see reality as it is. She's only seeing those parts of reality that reinforce her story. I heard Konstantin Christen reference this fascinating study where they painted facial scars using
Yes, I was speaking about this on a live a few weeks ago. It's so interesting. I know exactly what he's referring to. They literally put a scar on women's face and they told women that they were going to touch it up before they left. But they took it off. They completely took it off and the women all came back and reported that they were being discriminated against because of the scar. The scar wasn't there.
Fancy movie makeup on the faces of women just before a job interview. And so women thought that they're going to have this interview and they've got this, deformity on their face. And at the last minute, they get the makeup artist to just touch it up. Whereas actually what they did was completely wiped it off. So their face looks normal. But the women believe that they're going in there with this big facial scar. Afterwards, when they're reporting and what the interview was like, they're all like, I was discriminated against. He kept looking at the scar. He kept making comments about it. Of course, it's all in their head. There was no scar. But you see, the facts of reality get twisted in order to feed this story. When you're lost in victimhood, you only ever interpret facts in such a way that's going to support your narrative. We saw plenty of examples of that in my course. So what happens when a woman has been living in a story over a long period of time is that she sinks further and further into delusion. That is the consequence. When you confront a woman like this with reality, her reaction is always priceless. Let's take a look.
What is your ideal age for your man?
30.
What race is your ideal man?
Black.
Black. Minimum height?
6'3".
Minimum income?
90,000.
90,000? The likelihood of you finding your man is 0.036%.
Her face. To me, that's funny because it demonstrates the distance between a woman's story and reality. Her story is that she's entitled to a man who has this and this and this and this. Her story says that's what she deserves. That's what's coming to her. There's no need to settle or compromise, except that the reality of her finding a man like that is 0.03% or whatever he said. Modern women have an abundance of these stories that are not grounded in reality. Men can't be trusted. Women are morally superior to men. I deserve a top 1%.
Women are more caring than men. Yeah, it's all complete delusion. And don't get it twisted, the majority of women are much more like this than the majority of men. There are completely deluded men too that live in complete victimhood, and it's scary.
That man, whatever the story, it's a massive red flag because if she's running a negative story like men can't be trusted or men are going to cheat on me.
It's almost as if your thoughts generate your reality. And if you think that that's going to be the case, chances are, because you're living in a complete false representation of reality, you're going to go about creating your reality in such a way that it reflects your inner ideology, which is exactly what he's saying. And then you're going to get the results. And it's kind of funny because then they'll get the same results and then they'll play the whole victim and, oh, I'm hurt. And why does everything go the same for me? Oh, it's just the same thing over and over and over again. This is what victims do. They do that. But actually inside, part of them, probably a suppressed part of them, we're going, yes, it's me, guys. We're going into some kind of psychology tangent, but something inside of them unconsciously loves it because they are fulfilling the prophecy that they have created. And it's addictive. And that's why it's often that these people who create these realities for themselves and have this perception that they're hard done by and that no one else could possibly have it worse than them, that's why things continue to go wrong for them because they create it for themselves. They don't even realize they're doing it. They don't even realize that they're the ones who are in control. They're the ones who are doing it and that part of them secretly loves it. That's why these people are dangerous. You should probably stay well away from them because they are unstable.
You're totally screwed because you can't use reality to rationalize with her. If she truly believes her story.
To communicate with any human being, you need to start with a mental awareness and level of stability that you can both agree on what reality is. If you can't get someone to be able to see reality for what it actually is, even after they are presented with evidence, run.
story wholeheartedly, then the facts that you're presenting, where you're pointing at objective reality, it's not going to count for anything. It doesn't even matter if you prove her wrong because the story reigns supreme. Reality is only useful if it reinforces her story. Otherwise, it's something to be ignored or attacked. That is especially true if she is emotionally invested in that story. And as we'll see, emotions are one of the biggest blocks that women experience to seeing reality. Let's take a look.
Why? Why can't I have that half?
Okay, here.
But why did you want to give me that to begin with?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's
But
literally
why-
the same sandwich cut in half.
But why didn't you want to give me that one first?
I don't care which one you want. Here, you want this one? Take it.
No, I want that one now. Blaze!
What one you want now? It's the same fucking sandwich.
Never mind, I don't want anything.
Oh, brother, I feel for you. Okay, let's review the facts of reality. Both halves of the sandwich were identical. If she preferred a certain half, then he was happy to give it to her. You would think, given the reality of the situation, there is no possible way that she
You would think, you would hope, but no.
could feel discriminated against. There's no chance that she could feel victimized. They're identical choices and she can choose whichever one she wants. And yet, she found a way and he can't believe it. It makes no sense to him. But she's done it. She's found a way to feel wronged because she's not looking at reality. She's looking at her emotions. She feels overlooked, neglected, taken advantage of. And because her feelings are telling her that that's what's going on, that's as far as she looks. Let me state this as plainly as I possibly can. Emotions are not an adequate tool for judging reality.
Say it louder for the people in the back. Emotions are not real. They are not in reality. They are inside you. And no one else can feel them except you.
The two halves of the sandwich are identical. That is a fact. How you feel about those sandwich halves is completely irrelevant when it comes to determining the truth. Imagine...
But my feelings matter. Some delusional person somewhere.
if, when scientists are doing experiments, they just threw out all the data they collected because it doesn't feel like it's correct. Then they would publish results based on what they emotionally felt was the truth. That would be completely ridiculous. If an engineer is constructing a bridge for cars to drive across, I do not want him consulting emotions while making his calculations. I want him consulting reality. But this is not an attack on emotions. No, I'm pro-emotions. I'm an emotional guy. I answer questions like this on Hey Hero all the time. If your girl regulate work experiences, we laugh, we cry, we get pissed off. A lot of life's richness comes through our emotional experiences. We laugh, we cry, we get pissed off when we see injustice. That's all good. Emotions are amazing, but emotions are not a tool of cognition. Emotions cannot help you understand reality. So while it's fine to have a girlfriend who is emotional, that's fine, that's beautiful, that's feminine, and hopefully you generate happy and loving emotions inside of her. But it is a big red flag if you're ever dating a woman who says something along the lines of, I feel like this is true, therefore it is. That kind of rationalization is incredibly dangerous, and unfortunately, that emphasis on the supremacy of feeling is what's behind so many women's ideologies, which is another big block to reality. Let's take a look at a couple of women who cannot see reality outside of their ideology.
What are women better at than men?
Did you know that girls have bigger brain than boys? Actually.
Yeah, there's no way that's true.
Yeah, it's actually true.
Scientifically true. What are women better at than men?
Having kids.
What are men better at than women?
Nothing.
Nothing? Can't think of one thing. She just flipped me off as well. What the fuck? What are women better at than men?
Huh?
What are women better at than men?
Everything, literally. We give birth, we have periods, we literally go through menstruation. We have to deal with men catcalling us. And I'm 15 and I've had men scream at me saying I'm sexy and shit. It's weird.
I wish I had women say I was sexy. I'd like that.
Huh?
I wish women told me I was sexy. I'd like that.
sexy.
Thank you.
I love that guy so much. I find him so funny. But what you're witnessing in those clips is women's inability to see reality because they're so blocked off by their ideology. In particular, the ideology of modern feminism. The nature of an ideology is that you start with a preconceived notion of how things are. And if you are a committed ideologue, then you set about traveling through reality, taking note of all the facts that are going to support that ideology. And of course, you reject or argue against any evidence that undermines it. That's not considered a vice and sin if you're a committed ideologue. No, that kind of practice is being like a brave crusader. And it actually goes even deeper, because if you've fully swallowed the Kool-Aid, then it gets to a point where you literally cannot see outside of your ideology. At that point, you cannot even see reality.
And don't we see that in society in 2024?
It's impossible. Taking the modern variant of feminism as our ideological example, if you consider the premises that men are trash, women are morally superior, we live in a patriarchy, women are exploited, men have it easy. When you're speaking to a woman who's completely committed to that ideology, do you see that reality and pointing to reality is going to be completely ineffective at changing her mind? It doesn't matter if you point out that more manual labor is done by men, that men are doing more dangerous jobs, that men commit.
They'll find a way to rationalize it in their head. They'll find a way to say that you're wrong because they feel like you're wrong.
Suicide more, that men are dying in wars, that men are struggling more with loneliness and isolation. It doesn't matter if you show graphs like this that show for decades that women have been outperforming men when it comes to college enrollments, or that after graduating, most employers actively discriminate against men and hire women. Do you see that none of that matters because she's not looking at reality, she's looking at her ideology. Now again, like emotions, I'm not demonizing all ideologies. They can serve a purpose. Some ideologies challenge your thinking, get you to reconsider your premises. They get you to look at reality in new ways, sometimes more accurate ways.
Yeah, but you should almost, use ideologies like different lenses, be able to see reality from a different angle through a different lens. But it's when you become obsessed with one and you only look through that lens that you become almost like those things that horses wear. You create tunnel vision. And you can't see anything else outside of that lens. That's when it becomes problematic and dangerous.
Ideologies can serve a purpose, but if you meet a woman who places adherence to an ideology above her adherence to reality, that is a big red flag. I hope that you understand that reality is not some luxury item, it's an absolute necessity. Reality stands as the arbiter of all disagreements between humans. You think this, I think this. We consult reality to decide who is right. Reality is the ultimate authority, and as such, reality must command your cognitive loyalty above anything else. You need to make sure that your girlfriend understands that, because otherwise, you're going to be lost in an endless sea of pointless arguments and fights. Let's say you do the dishes for an entire week, but then next week she says, you never help out in the kitchen. Now, if she's lost in a story that she's telling herself that she's some domestic slave that's getting exploited by the patriarchy, and she cares more about that story than reality, then you're screwed. Or let's say she's really emotional and she's like, crying and screaming, you never help out in the kitchen. Then again, if she believes that emotions are a valid tool for understanding reality, then you pointing to the facts is not going to help. Or if she's lost in an ideology that says that women are victims and men are exploiters, then again, there's nothing that you can do, because you're never going to be able to overcome that ideology by just doing more and more in reality. If that's her belief and she's committed to it, then you'll never be able to do enough. Again, let me state this as plainly as I possibly can so there's no way to misunderstand me. The only way to
they'll still find a way. The delusional ones, they'll still find a way. You can think you're being as clear as day, but they'll still find a way.
ever adequately resolve an argument with a woman is if it's resolved with reference to reality. You can listen to her story, you can show compassion to her emotions, and understanding for her ideology. All of that's fine so long as it is within the framework that says that reality reigns supreme. You need to be able to say that the truth is that I do help out in the kitchen. Last week, I did the dishes every single night. That is a fact of reality, and if she's able to hear that, she accepts that reality is the final arbiter of truth, then hold on to her, because even though it seems like the bare minimum, That quality is regrettably rare nowadays. That's true for both men and women. Too few people seem to have the courage to directly look at reality. Now, at the start of this
Absolute facts. Could not agree more.
video, I said that I was going to talk about the 4 blocks to reality: stories, emotions, ideologies, and the final one, faith. In my experience, talking about religion on this channel does not go well for me. Despite the very basis of my channel being on the science of evolution, evolutionary biology, and evolutionary psychology, people seem to constantly be surprised that I'm not a Christian. And every time I affirm my atheism on this channel, I get tons of emails the next day with people telling me to give my life over to Christ and like quoting scripture to me. I know that you guys mean well and that you're worried about the salvation of my soul. I get that. But truthfully, it does get a bit tiresome. I'm not here to criticize you if you're religious. Frankly, I'm impressed that you would subscribe to a channel like mine, you know, run by a godless heathen. I'm glad that you still get some value out of my content, even if we're coming from very different places. But I've decided for the YouTube version of this video that I just don't want to poke that bear. But if I'm being intellectually
I would have loved to have heard what he has to say.
honest, I do believe that faith is something that blocks you from seeing reality. And so I've put all of my thoughts about that topic into the Patreon version of this video.
I guess that comes into the point of ideology to a certain degree. When you're dealing with something like faith, I can understand what he's saying from the atheistic point of view. I completely, having been an atheist at a point in my life myself, like I can see exactly where his mind is at. However, I will challenge it with, if we're going to talk about faith in a similar way to ideology, where it's essentially a lens of reality, if you both subscribe to the same faith, then obviously you're looking through the same lens. So you're still going to be able to agree on what the objective truth of reality is. Let's say at least 9 times out of 10. And actually, I think the evidence suggests that that is true and that that's the case, because typically what you see is that people with religious marriages from all faiths, from all different religions, those marriages tend to work out way better than the marriages that aren't based in some kind of faith. I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that you're both looking through the same lens, so therefore you know that you both have at least very, very similar core values. At least you would hope. This is what I'm looking at from say looking to my parents' generation and the older generations. You can agree that you probably have similar traditions and values because of your faith. So chances are that relationship's going to do more successful than one where there's no faith, because that way you don't really know if they have the same traditions and values. But again, you know, there's exceptions to every rule, and I haven't actually heard his point. So yeah, definitely have to go check it out. Guys, if you want to hear the final point, if you're as intrigued as I am, definitely go check out Alexander Grace's Patreon. You can search him up on YouTube, and obviously you can find his Patreon as well. Go check it out. I'm intrigued. I want you guys to join in on this conversation, because I'm very open in my thinking. So I can definitely see how one could form an argument to argue one way or the other, but I'm intrigued to know what you guys think as well. So let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up on your way out, and be sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all of my videos. And I will see you very soon in the next one. Take care.